into town to check the Dogwood Festival.
How'd it go?
A couple of my men, bar fight. Took me half the night to get them out of the stockade. Happy Mother's Day. That's funny. Katie hadn't picked up her papers.
I know. I haven't seen Katie or the kids since she came by to borrow some milk.
Damn, Cynthia, that was Thursday night.
I know.
Have you called?
Twice. No answer.
Maybe Gary came home and they took a Mother's Day trip.
Without their car?
Why don't you go call that babysitter, that girl? What's her name?
Stacy?
Yeah, see if she knows anything. We can go check this out.
Do you see anything, Sergeant Hallis?
Yeah. Jana's in her crib. She's a mess.
I haven't seen anybody since I babysat on Tuesday.
I called the sheriff's department.
Jana, it's all right, honey. Poor baby. It'll be all right. Shh, hi there. Yes, it'll be all right, honey.
Hi, folks. I'm Deputy Archer.
I'm Hallis. We live next door. Front door's locked. That baby's in there crying.
Nobody's seen them for days. That's just not Katie.
Let's take a look. Hey.
Here you go.
Thanks. No, the window's unlocked. I'm going in.
Jana?
Stacy, you hadn't even talked to Katie by phone?
And I drove by yesterday and the front door was wide open.
Hey, it was locked. I just now tried it.
Watch your head.
You got it?
These are by the bed.
Honey, it's okay. It's okay, honey, yes.
It smells really bad in here.
Oh, honey.
Three bodies. A woman and two children.
In this quiet suburban neighborhood on Summer Hill Road near Fort Bragg, neighbors are stunned and shocked by this tragedy, where the bodies of Katie Eastburn, 31, and her two daughters, Kara, 5, and Erin, 3, are discovered. The youngest daughter, Jana, 18 months, was found in her crib, but otherwise unhurt. The father, Air Force Captain Gary Eastburn, has been away at advanced training school in Alabama for over a month. He has been contacted and is returning home on this tragic Mother's Day.
Very weird, Sergeant. You got us a slasher killing with 3 bodies and very little blood.
Apparently some bedding and towels were missing, maybe for cleanup.
Yeah, one hell of a cleanup. The luminol will show where they cleaned up any blood.
Sergeant Barrett.
Yeah, what do you got, Doc?
Whatever happened started
here in the living room. Blouse and bra were cut away. The jeans are there. Sneakers over here. Laces still tied.
Yeah, but the body was found in the bedroom where she was killed, right?
Yes. I'd say they've been dead 3 days. I'll know more after the autopsies.
Sergeant Barris?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see this?
What's that?
Fingertip to a rubber glove. Found in the doorway to the hall. Did not find any rubber gloves in the house.
A captain's wife, 2 little girls, a rubber glove fingertip. Oh, man. This is just like the Jeffrey McDonald murders.
Yep. I worked the Fatal Vision case 15 years ago.
The house, it's just a few miles from here.
Just kill that light for me, would you please?
Captain Eastburn, he's been gone away to school for like a month. And that's when the weird phone call started.
Phone calls?
Yeah.
Any of them while you were babysitting?
Uh-huh. Yeah. And Katie, Mrs. Eastburn, she got even more, you know. And once I even took a message from him and I wrote it on the board. Oh, and there was a phone call from somebody named Angela about buying Dixie. That's Eastburn's dog.
Hey, can I help you?
Say, look now, whatever happened there now, I don't know if it helps, but the other night I was walking by that house and I saw a man coming out. Now he was carrying something like a kind of a bag over his shoulder, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. When was this?
I get about 3 nights ago.
You got a second to talk?
So far, you found missing this cash box with the petty cash Christmas money, Katie's instant teller bank card, and some personal papers?
It's Janice's first birthday party. Thursday night, I was studying at school. And I had the strongest desire to call Katie. But I didn't.
Good, go ahead.
I should never have gone away to school.
Now, I don't want to hear any more talk about this being a Jeffrey McDonald copycat killing.
But, Sheriff, there are definite similarities with the Jeffrey McDonald case.
What have we got?
Okay. First off, the killer stole Katie Eastburn's instant teller card. He may try to use it because the card PIN number was inside the cash box. So that lead is priority 1. Next, Mrs. Eastburn ran an ad in the Army Post newspaper to get rid of their dog, Dixie. And somebody came to pick up the dog Tuesday night. The killings were Thursday, so we want to talk to that person. Oh, and we got our first break. We have a witness, a guy named Owen Breck. Says that he saw a man walk down Summerhill Road that night. Breck is with a police sketch artist now. He says the man he saw was well over 6 feet tall, over 200 pounds, blonde with a mustache. He was wearing a black jacket and a ski cap or a military beret. He was driving a white Chevette.
Yeah, that looks like him.
Authorities have requested that the
come here, quick.
who took the Eastburn dog may help in solving the brutal slayings of Catherine Eastburn and her 2 daughters. The Cumberland County Sheriff has requested that the person who picked up the Eastburn dog, Dixie, to come forward and make contact with the department. Neighbors describe the Eastburns as having been a quiet and friendly couple who took excellent care of their 3.
You're not going to believe this.
What?
Just come here.
I've seen it.
The guy that picked up the Eastburn dog just came in. Take a look.
My God, Kenny, he looks like he posed for it.
His name is Tim Hennis. He's an Army sergeant stationed at Fort Bragg.
Well, look, I don't understand why I should sign a waiver saying that I don't want an attorney present. Am I a suspect?
No.
Why'd you read me the Miranda?
I'm just keeping it legal. Tim, this is simply a routine questioning. You were one of the last people to see Katie Eastburn alive. And you were in the house the night you picked up the dog, okay? Excuse me just a minute, Tim.
Jim Hannah's mugshot. Bad check charge 2 years ago.
Huh.
Now, Mr. Breck, we're just going to take a little cruise around this lot and we're going to take a look at what's here, okay?
Yeah, okay.
You see any car looks like the car you saw that night, you just say so. Now, take your time, Owen. Take a good look.
Hold it. Over there. That's it. That's what the guy was driving.
Are you sure?
I know cars, man.
And you had CQ duty at the post all weekend?
Right, because I had weekend duty. My wife and daughter left town to spend Mother's Day with her folks.
And when did they leave?
Thursday.
So you were home alone Thursday night?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go upstairs so the nurse can take some samples.
Samples? Well, what kind?
Blood, hair from your head, pubic hair.
Why?
Well, Mrs. Eastburn was raped first.
Yes, that's right, ma'am. Now you see that's the corner of Rock and Woodrow, correct?
Who's your commanding officer, sir? Just stating for us.
Good Lord, we've been here 5 hours. All you did was pick up a dog. What is taking so long?
I had to give a sample for a rape kit.
Rape? But you were home alone that night. Weren't you?
Yeah.
Okay, we got 2 hits. First of all, Breck made a positive ID of Hennis from his photo lineup. And second, Breck picked Hennis' car out of the whole parking lot.
Well, this much evidence can't be a coincidence.
Hey, look, I came down here because I picked up their dog. Now, you going to keep us here all night?
No, I'm sorry, Tim. These things always take longer than expected. You're free to go.
Sergeant, could you tell us exactly what you're...
Get out of my face.
You have an alibi? Mr. Hennis, were you in the area? Sergeant Hennis, were you on base at the time?
Sheriff, listen, please. I'm telling you, an arrest is premature. We don't have lab tests yet, no matching prints.
Mr. Prosecutor, we have a witness that puts him and his car at the scene of the crime. He has no alibi. He was home alone.
What's his motive?
Rape is its own motive. Now, we got grounds for an arrest.
But I don't have enough to prosecute.
You will when we gather more evidence. Now, look, he left here in a rage. Now, suppose rage is his trigger, and he commits another atrocity when we could have arrested him. Take a good look at these crime scene photos. Now, can y'all live with another one of those?
What is that?
Who knows?
After 1:30, they're gonna wake Christina.
Open up, Hennis. It's the sheriff.
Get Dad on the phone right now. Quick. Hurry up.
Bob, it's Angela.
I know it's late.
Religious.
They're pounding on the door. I don't know. Something to do with a woman who...
Timothy Bailey Hennis.
Yeah?
I have a warrant for your arrest. I have a search warrant for your home and your car. The charge is rape, 3 counts of homicide. Get him out of here. Go.
Right out this way. The sheriffs are here. I don't know what's going on. They're arresting Tim.
I don't know what to do, Bob.
Angela, sit tight. Stay with the baby. I'll catch the next plane out. Tim's been arrested.
Wait, what? For what?
A triple murder.
What? Oh, that's crazy. It's a mistake.
One hell of a mistake.
Sheriff, what's the similarity between this and the Jeffrey McDonald killings?
No similarity. The military botched that case. The Cumberland County Sheriff's Department has made an arrest in this triple homicide in less than 4 days.
Do you have a witness?
Yes.
What about physical evidence?
A ton.
Right in here, sir.
Mr. Hennis, I'm Jerry Beaver. This is my associate, Billy Richardson.
Hi, Mr. Richardson.
Good to meet you, sir. We've only got a minute.
Yeah. Well, thank you for seeing me on such short notice.
Well, your office called, and my partners had a chance to talk during lunch. Frankly, they want no part of your case.
Why not?
Tim Hennis is not going to get bond, not on a rape and triple murder of a woman and her 2 small daughters.
Mr. Hennis, the sheriff has a positive ID from a photo lineup, and a witness puts Tim and his car at the crime scene.
A witness?
Plus, the state's got a whole posse of detectives, prosecutors, crime lab experts, millions of dollars to spend just to kill your son. Nobody wants this case, Mr. Hennis. I'm sorry. We gotta get back to court.
Please, listen to me. I know my son, do you understand? You understand? I know him. His good qualities and the bad. Everything. That boy did not do this crime. I don't care what the witness or the police or the state or the heavenly host says. My son is not guilty. I need help. Yeah, the defense attorney we're trying to get is Tops. I've researched him and I've talked with him.
Well, finally something good. How soon can I get out of here, Dad?
Tim, you won't be getting bond. The crime is too serious.
How can they just choose me because I picked up that lady's dog? Are they crazy? What?
Well, they have a witness. He's identified you in your car at the murder scene.
Oh, my God.
Baby, it's gonna be okay. You didn't do it. They can't prove a lie, right?
You bet, you bet. Just hang on, Tim. We're just getting started.
I'm up. I love you, Angela. I love you too, Dad.
Now I know he's scared. He's never said I love you to me before.
Okay. You hate the idea. All right, let's take a poll. Who thinks Tim Hennis is guilty?
Yep.
It's a good thing we're not the jury. All right, state's asking for the death penalty. If we take this case and lose, we gotta watch him die.
And it's a no-win case. Bad publicity, bad public opinion. And our peers...
That's not the point. Hennis may be guilty as Judas. He still has a right to the best defense. We're not supposed to be concerned with what people think. Tim Hennis has a right to counsel. And he asked for us. Isn't that what's right?
Billy, only you could get away with a Boy Scout line like that.
No, Billy's right. But if we took this case, it's not just going to be tough on us. It's going to be worse on our families. All right. Take another vote?
Hell's bells, Beaver. Why vote? You and Billy are going to do what you think anyway.
It's always seemed a better place to talk than a conference room.
You gonna take the case?
Yeah. I got outvoted. But I'm still the boss. Now, hardball. Everybody thinks Tim is guilty, including us. I know no father wants to believe that his son could commit this kind of a...
You find out who did it. No matter who did it. Or find out that Tim didn't do it. I want one thing, the truth.
Even if Tim did it?
Even if he did it.
The fee will be $100,000. Can you handle that?
I'll have to raise it.
There's more bad news. The sheriff's been told that Tim was seen burning something in a steel barrel the Saturday morning after the murders. The prosecution will argue that Tim was burning evidence he took away from the crime scene. Bloody rags and towels from the cleanup.
Oh, I know about the barrel. police haven't picked it up yet. They're still in the backyard.
Kidding.
No, I didn't think I had the right to do anything about it. What should I do?
Leave it alone.
Listen, my wife is worried sick. I gotta call Mary Lou. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
There goes an honest man.
Who's gonna get his heart broken?
Tim's doing okay. He's fine. He's holding up. But frankly, it's bad. There's a witness who says he saw Tim at the murder scene.
Oh my gosh. Bob, don't you think I ought to be there?
No, wait, there's more. The defense fee is $100,000. Now we got $20,000 in savings. That's a down payment. Mary Lou, we gotta sell the house.
Oh, Bob, but honey,
If we don't win this, we could lose Tim. Look, a lot can happen in a short while. Or one night, my gosh. Feels like I've been here a month. Sorry, Mary Lou. It's the only way to raise the money. We need the best defense we can.
Okay, sure.
I hate for you to get stuck with the sale, but I can't get back to do it. I'm calling the office tomorrow for a leave of absence, and... Oh, I'm sorry. Gosh, what else can go wrong?
Well, I'm not pregnant.
I love you so very much. Good night, dear.
Good night. I love you.
Call Timothy Bailey Hennis.
Mr. Hennis, you were charged with 1 count of rape and 3 counts of homicide. Do you understand the charges against you?
Yes, sir.
The court will provide you with a qualified legal counsel. If you...
Excuse me, Your Honor. Good morning. I'm Billy Richardson. Mr. Hennis's father has retained Gerald Beaver and me as counsel for the defense.
You are not getting an open file. Not one thing more than the law requires.
Exactly what does that mean?
Exactly what I said. No favors, no special cooperation.
Suppose you need a favor from us.
I won't ask for it. We're not taking any chances of Hennis getting off because of some of your Butch and Sundance trickery. Either you get specific or you get nothing.
Okay, specifically, we want into the Eastburn house and view the crime scene.
No, not till we're through with it.
Do you have prints?
Yes.
Blood?
Yes.
Sperm?
With their tails intact.
I'm just curious. How'd you happen to get assigned to this case?
I asked for it.
Why?
Because, in all modesty, I am probably the best man in the department for this case. Does that answer it?
That's wonderful. We have a client who Mother Teresa would cheerfully execute, and the Terminator for a prosecutor.
But they got no motive for Hennis.
Smithline will find one. You can count on it.
This is Tim Hennis's jacket. We found it at the dry cleaners. Hennis had taken it in the morning after the killing, so we want your lab to check it for blood traces.
Oh, don't get your hopes up, Sergeant. Dry cleaning usually removes blood. But, we'll give it our best shot.
We need you in interrogation.
What do you got?
Walk-in named Ellen Browning.
Who's she?
Tim Hennis' ex-girlfriend.
You see, I know Tim Hennis couldn't have killed that woman or those children. He just couldn't have.
Why not?
It was Thursday night, right?
Right.
Well, Tim Hennis was with me that night.
Oh? Well, what time did Tim leave you?
At 9:30 or a little before.
He visit you any other time?
About 2 weeks before.
And he came back on the night of the murders.
He did. And no, we weren't having an affair. He didn't even make a pass at me that night.
No? Well, then, maybe he, didn't get what he wanted and, went looking for it someplace else.
And Hennis did not leave you until 9:30 that night.
Right.
Hennis must be nuts. He was with someone that night and didn't tell the police.
Hell, it didn't tell us. Jerry, is it an alibi?
No. That's the point. I talked to Sergeant Barris. Ellen Browning went in there thinking to help Tim. She didn't know the time of the killings. Tim left between 9 and 9:30. He could easily have had plenty of time.
Then Tim lied about being home alone the night of the murders.
Oh, hey, it gets worse. She told Barris they didn't have sex.
Then the prosecution will say that Tim left her rejected, angry, sexually frustrated, and took it out on Katie Eastburn.
Right. Smithline now has his motive. Tim, the simple fact is the state is building one powerful case. And they haven't even begun to link the physical evidence. I mean, when they do... Suppose the prosecutor offers a deal. You plead guilty in exchange for no death penalty.
No deals, okay? I am not pleading guilty to something I didn't do. Jerry, Billy, you got that? All right?
All right.
Got it?
All right.
Finally?
Good. Let's get to work then.
Tim, first, we don't want any more surprises. Now, straight talk. Don't worry about protecting yourself, your ex-girlfriend. Beginning on Thursday, where were you?
Okay, Thursday. I drove Angela and the kid to Selma for Mother's Day to see her folks because I had CQ duty at the post all weekend. I came back that night.
What time?
Around dinner. I got a cheeseburger to drive it. I was in a neighborhood, so I stopped by Ellen Browning's. Is that a crime?
Is there some reason why you didn't tell that to us or to the police?
Yeah, it's nobody's business.
Oh, it's everybody's business now, Tim. Okay. What happened?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. No sex. Isn't that what you want to know? I did not have sex with Ellen Browning. I went home around 9 o'clock. There was a call from Mrs. Eastburn.
Wait, that's new, Tim. Why didn't you tell that to anyone?
She wanted to know how the dog Dixie was doing. Is that important?
For one thing, it establishes how late she was alive that night.
Okay. Okay. Then what?
And I went to bed. At 5:30, I was on the post on the morning Friday battalion run. There's about 800 witnesses to that. As far as Ellen Browning, nothing happened. You don't believe me? You ask her.
Tim and I went together for several months before he married Angela. You'd have thought it was the romance of the century the way police questioned me. What was our sex life like? Was he kinky in bed? Was he aggressive? Did he like rough sex? I mean, it was a joke.
How so?
Tim, he's a cuddler. He's also a gentleman, and he's very, conservative. Understand?
What happened that night?
Tim just showed up, out of the blue. He sat there and watched TV while I fixed dinner for my daughter and me. Later, my daughter did her homework. Tim and I watched Family Ties. How's the marriage going?
How's yours?
We're married 3 months. Then he gets shipped to Germany. I love the army.
Yeah.
Where's Angela?
She's gone again.
Now what's wrong?
Oh, same old, you know, just... Well, it's not real smooth anyway.
I'm sorry, Timmy.
That's all right. I better get going. I gotta go check on that dog.
And then I said goodnight. He left.
Did he make a pass at you?
Not that night, no, but... Well, 2 weeks prior he made sort of a passive pass, but nothing happened.
Was Tim mad when he left?
He seemed okay.
Ellen, does Tim cover up his feelings?
Huh. Mr. Macho does not like to show emotion.
Then you might not know if he really was mad.
I never thought of that.
And they will be getting back to you, yes. Can you hold, please? Bob and Mrs. Hennis are here. They're waiting in your office.
Thank you.
Sure. Hello, what can I do for you this afternoon?
Around 80. Oh, Mary Lou. This is Tim's attorney, Jerry Beaver.
Nice to meet you.
And
Yes,
Billy Richardson.
My pleasure, ma'am.
Mary Lou just flew in.
Great. Please sit down.
Oh, a little bumpy, thanks.
Okay, here's a certified check for $20,000. That get you started?
That'll do nicely.
And hire an investigator?
We'll put one on today. We got a good man, a real pro.
Good. We'll get another payment to you as soon as the house is sold. Real estate's a little slow right now, but we priced it to sell quick.
We trust you, Mr. Hennis.
Selling your home like that, you must believe in Tim very much.
Yes, we do. We're a very close family. I guess most people say that, but we really are.
How many kids are there?
Just 2 now. Tim's brother Andrew was killed 4 years ago in a motorcycle accident.
I'm very sorry.
So now there's just Tim and his sister Beth. She's living in Colorado. So I guess they're especially precious to us now. You see, all our kids are adopted.
D.B. Guinness, private eye, can find anything.
Including where to eat anywhere in the Carolinas.
D.B., what do you hear? What do you think?
Well, Mr. Hennis, given the scuttlebutt around the courthouse, sheriff's office, and what's in the media, your son is guilty. Or the unluckiest man alive. But, I don't much trust luck. Good or bad.
We're going to divide the work, a 2-prong attack. I'll prepare the legal strategy, and D.B., Billy will run their own investigation.
Because of the McDonald copycat angle, Jerry's contacted the forensic expert who broke the Fatal Vision case, Richard Tasman. He's going to fly in and examine the crime scene.
If we could ever get in the house, they haven't released it yet. I may have to get a court order.
Man, gotta get in there somehow.
You will. So, what's DB's first assignment?
Stacy Carrollwood, the babysitter. She's got a fixation on the McDonald case.
So, how'd you get into the Jeffrey McDonald thing?
I did a report on Fatal Vision and just got hooked.
Hooked?
And I think he's innocent, you know, and I wrote to him, and he wrote me back. He even called me on my birthday.
Yeah?
It's no big deal.
Right.
Now, this is really all so weird.
How so?
Well, like, on the Monday after the murders, I was at the hospital, you know, visiting little Jana, and my friend Dennis picked me up, and no, I think it was Brandon that picked me up. Anyhow, we were riding home, and this blue van followed me. You know, and we circled around the block, and it just kept following, and it was real spooky, you know, and then once at a stoplight, this guy he glared at me, you know. I mean, I don't know, maybe he recognized me or something because my picture was in the paper that day, and
Did you get a good look at this guy?
Yeah, I did. He was real freaky, you know, like hippie-like. I mean, I didn't recognize him or anything, but...
Okay. Can you tell me about the strange phone calls at the Eastburns?
Yeah, there were a lot of those phone calls. I mean, sometimes when I babysat, there'd be like 2 or 3, you know, in a night.
Mommy.
Hello?
How's the prettiest girl on Summer Hill Road?
Was it the same guy who called before?
Yeah. I mean, I must have gotten like 20 phone calls that month. I mean, well, maybe it wasn't 20, you know, exactly, but a lot, you know. And Katie, Mrs. Eastburn, she got even more, you know. She just said hang up.
Did you know the voice?
No. I don't think he recognized me either.
How come?
Well, he asked me if I had big boobs. Well, you know, unless he knew me from my drug adventure.
Drug adventure?
Well, yeah, I mean, see, I kind of like met this guy in drug enforcement.
Jerry. Yeah, there may be a drug angle on this Eastburn case. Yeah, Stacy Carrollwood says she worked for a narc. So check with Cumberland County, can you, for an undercover guy named Frank Sayers. Yeah, he's supposedly you, Stacy. Well, I'm approaching Eastburn House now. I just wanted to check for... Holy moly. Jerry, you're not going to believe this. Captain Eastburn's moving. They're hauling away the crime scene.
The crime scene is being destroyed. We haven't had access. Now, our forensic people have a right to see it. This is just dirty.
No, it's an accident. And besides, I'll make my SBI reports on the house available.
I'm telling you, this is the first time I've ever had this kind of trouble assessing a crime scene. I don't believe it. It's outrageous.
Look, Beaver, when we finished with it and the indictment came down, Captain Eastburn wanted to move out immediately. Can you blame him? The state had no right to stop him. Besides, you're in now.
Richard Tasman, this is my partner, Billy Richardson.
Hello, Billy.
I followed your work in the McDonald case. I'm glad to finally meet you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
The smell.
Blood.
Billy Richardson and Richard Tasman are poking around the crime scene.
Well, let them poke. Who's Richard Tasman?
He's the forensic who broke the Fatal Vision case.
Yeah, the defense may be trying for a McDonald copycat murder.
What have we got to counter that?
Well, the blood sperm tests were inconclusive.
And still, so far, no physical evidence linking Hennis to the murder scene.
What have we got on Hennis?
He's got a long history of money problems, bad checks everywhere. He was convicted on a bad check rap, and he's usually late with his rent.
So Katie Eastburn's missing cash box might look good to him. What about her missing instant teller card?
Katie Eastburn's instant teller card was used twice after the murders. On Friday night at 10:52 p.m. and then again Saturday morning, 8:56.
We're checking anyone else who used the instant teller and might have seen something.
Good. And find anyone who can support Breck's testimony. So far, Owen Breck is our case. Either Breck sells a jury or the baby killer walks.
Mrs. Taylor, you used your instant teller card late that Saturday morning?
Around then.
Did you see anyone? Big blonde guy, GI type.
Not that I recall. No. But I'm not sure. No.
All right, thanks. If D.B. Guinness calls in, I want to talk to him.
You got it, Mr. Beaver.
Where's DB? I've set up a meeting with him and Owen Breck.
Remember that drug informant that Stacy Carolwood supposedly knew? Frank Sarrazin?
Yeah?
He's real. DB tracked him down.
Yes! Way to go. You see, I like to use young girls to bait the buy. You know, some dealers just get off selling the chicken, you know.
Chicken?
Yeah.
Is that why you picked Stacy, 'cause she's so young?
Well, you know, it didn't hurt. But I only used her a few times because her mother put an end to it. But I'll tell you this much. She had the knack. I mean, she was good to be so young, you know? I remember we set up this buy with this badass GI called the Ox.
So, did it lead to an arrest?
No, they went underground before we could bust them, you know? Him and his buddy in his van, they just disappeared, you know?
Mm-hmm. How would you describe Stacy?
Smart. But, spacey. Like, get this right. Lizzie Borden and Jeffrey McDonald are her favorite murder cases. I mean, you know, she even writes McDonald in prison.
Did you ever use her on the witness stand?
No way, Bo. She's too flaky, you know? Over-dramatizes everything.
Ox? I never knew anybody named Ox. Whatever an ox is.
No.
No. And I never talked about Lizzie Borden and mass murders and all that stuff. No. Oh, and I don't do drugs.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever help Sarrazin set up a drug bust?
Well, yeah. I mean, like, I told you that before. I mean, I said that I kind of helped him set up one.
Wish you weren't going.
Oh, you wish, honey. But the offer on the house seems genuine enough. They want to open escrow.
I'm just sorry you have to handle this alone.
Bob, when I was talking to the broker, well, they offered me a part-time job, and I think I ought to take it.
Oh, boy, I hate that.
I know.
I never thought you'd ever have to work again. Gee, this is all unbelievable.
Just don't keep me in the dark. It's going to be tough enough being in Florida with you and everything.
I already miss you.
Now, you promise me that you will tell me everything that's happening. Don't you sugarcoat a thing. I'm a big girl.
Big. Honey, you're a giant.
Okay, so as I'm coming up the street, the dude came down the Eastburn Drive toward me. He passed me probably right about here, and then he walked on down the road.
That streetlight was behind him, right? So his face wasn't well lit?
I could still see the man, you know what I'm saying?
Then what?
Okay, well then I walked up to the streetlight. I turned around and I looked. He kept on going, and he walked down there toward the Chevette.
Where was his car parked?
Down there, near the corner.
At the end of the street. That's over 75 yards away. You waited that long to watch him walk to his car?
That's what happened, man.
Hey, what are you guys doing?
We're investigating the Eastburn case. Did you happen to see something?
Well, yeah, you know how everybody keeps talking about the white car? I never saw a white car. But there was a van parked near the Eastburns that night.
Did you tell that to the police?
Sure did.
Last thing I want to do is get anybody in trouble, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like when they did the photo lineup thing, man, I prayed to God, God Almighty, I was making the right choice.
Did you take long to decide?
Yeah, 30 minutes, maybe more. My mom and daddy hammered at me to tell the truth. Tell the truth. Then my friends, they've been all over me like white on rice is coming forward. I mean, like, sometimes I'm not really certain it's the right guy.
Jerry, you're not gonna believe this.
I witnessed it and I don't believe it.
What's that?
This is a tape of Owen Breck.
So?
Owen Breck told us on tape he is uncertain about his identification of Tim Hennis.
He said that? On tape?
Well, first he told us, then we recorded it.
But is a tape recording admissible?
This is. We had the tape transcribed and Owen Breck signed it. It was witnessed and notarized. Breck has retracted his statement.
They've got no physical evidence. Their key witness retracted? Yes!
That's great. Hey, how did you do it?
Breck just talked.
The state will claim he was pressured.
Well, he wasn't. He said it, period.
Okay. Let's keep Breck's retraction to ourselves.
I agree. Jerry, there's more. While we're at the crime scene, a neighbor named Doug Palmer says he didn't see a white Chevette. He did see a van that night.
A van? What does that mean?
Well, it's the second time it came up. When I talked to Stacy, she said that a blue van followed her home Monday night after the murders.
Did she see who was driving?
She said the guy looked kind of freaky. It was not Tim Hennis.
Sure. Tim has no connection with a van.
Looks like there was someone else there that night. And there's a van moving around? Gentlemen, the state's case is falling apart.
Bail? They gonna try for bail on a rape and triple murder?
And have also reviewed the police files and state crime lab reports and all the evidence presented by the district attorney's office. In view of the fact that no physical evidence so far links the accused to the crime scene, I have no choice but to grant bail set at $100,000.
Oh, they see us.
Gary.
They're letting him out. My God, what kind of system is this? Can't you do something?
Gary, I presented every argument in the book. Gentlemen, if you please. It's the judge's call. He can allow the...
Can we understand this from you, sir? Just one moment.
What are you going to do now?
Get the toughest investigator in the business to tear their case apart. Good God. Harlan, I didn't sleep for a month. What do you want me to do? Talk to every witness. Plug every hole in our case and punch holes in theirs.
All right, let's talk alibi some more. Now, first, when Katie's bank card was used here at the bank? Katie's bank card was used twice. Friday night at 10:52 and again Saturday morning. Now, Saturday...
Yeah, their witness, Lorraine Taylor, said she didn't see anybody.
So, Tim, where were you?
I was relieved of CQ duty sometime around 8:30. And, it's almost impossible to get from that instant teller to Fort Bragg in less than 30 minutes.
Almost impossible. Swell. Okay. We'll go with that. What about the trash barrel? Now, you were seen burning trash here at your house from sometime after 9 o'clock on Saturday morning till around 1. The state will say that you were burning letters from Katie's lockbox and bloody rags from the cleanup.
Yeah, I was burning stuff.
What were you burning?
Angela been bugging me cleaning out that old storeroom. Army manuals, cleaning rags, a ton of old papers. So while she was gone to Mother's Day, I did what I was asked.
That's right. Angela said she'd been after him to do it for months.
Why didn't you just put it in the trash? Saturday afternoon is trash pickup. Why burn it?
I got some bad news.
Well, things are going so well here. What could be bad?
Smithline has hired Harold Carlin to head the DA's investigation.
Carlin the bird dog. Oh, boy. Well, we'll just have to out bird dog the bird dog.
Now, Mr. Taylor, we know that you used your bank card just before 9 a.m. on the Saturday after the Eastburn murders. Are you sure that you didn't see anybody?
Like I told them, it was a long time ago. I can't swear I saw anyone.
Thank you very much.
Mrs. Taylor, you told the police a while back that you didn't remember seeing anyone else at the instant teller that Saturday morning?
That's right. Look, Mr. Carlin, how many times do I have to tell everybody?
But Mrs. Eastburn's card was used while you were there. Are you sure you didn't see anyone?
Right. A van. I think it was blue. Parked there that Friday night.
Are you sure? You said you saw it the night of the murder. Now, that was Thursday, not Friday.
Well, I think it was the night of the murder.
Mr. Palmer, isn't it possible that you were right just now? And that it was later on Friday when you saw the van?
Well, yeah, it might have been. I mean, it's been so long.
Thanks.
Oh, that kills the van.
Yeah. The refocuses on Hennis's white Chevette.
So, Mrs. Gillis, you were driving your husband back to his post at 3 a.m. the night of the murders.
That's right. You see, we have to drive right down Summer Hill Road, and I clearly remember not seeing a white car parked where they said it was.
And you told the police you saw a man walking at night near the Eastburn house?
Yes, sir. A week or two before the murders. It was before 4 in the morning.
How'd you happen to see this man?
Well, I was awake and out of cigarettes, so I made my husband walk with me to the store. We saw a tall man walking near the Eastburns. Couldn't see his face, but he stood about 6 feet. Wore a black jacket and a black hat, and had bags slung over his shoulder. And I saw this man again in the middle of the night, dressed the same way.
When was that?
Several months after they arrested Sergeant Hannis.
DB, somebody else was walking that neighborhood at night, and we've got to find them.
Yeah, but with everybody we got to talk to, when are we going to find the time? 2:45. I am not believing this.
Jenny Gillis said she saw the walker between 3 and 4 a.m.
How many nights do you think we can do this and still work all day?
Till we find him. We're going to cruise all along his possible routes, find the walker, and win the case.
Right.
We're talking about exactly 10:52 that Friday, the night we were with Sergeant Hennis on CQ duty. That's the first time Katie Eastburn's instant teller card was used.
I called Sergeant Hennis at the CQ after 10:30. Checked me out of the day room.
Yeah, but precisely what time?
Well, at least 10:45.
Thank you.
Welcome, sir.
All right, guys, back in. Give me the ball. Woo!
What time?
About 10:45. That's when I phoned him. Came over to sign me out about 11:15.
Now, how do you know that? You don't wear a watch.
No, but you see, I left Sergeant Hennis in the day room, then went to the barracks. I went to bed at 12:05. That's what time the clock radio said. So I back timed from then.
Back time? From midnight?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So I finally get this gorgeous woman to talk right into the wire I'm wearing. Cops don't show up to make the bust.
Didn't we cover this street last night?
No, I don't think so. I think it was the night before. Anyway, the cops don't show up, right? And I'm thinking, my wife's never gonna believe this, that I was supposed to stake out this gorgeous woman. No, sir.
DB, aren't the newspapers delivered about this time? Mrs. Griffin, you were delivering newspapers in the Eastburn neighborhood early that morning, right?
Yes. Why?
Well, the Hennis defense is doing its own investigation of the
Look, I really don't want to get involved in all this.
Please?
I saw a van parked near the house about 1:45 in the morning. It's kind of dark on that part of the street. I almost ran into the van. That's it.
Did you see anyone? Anything?
I've told you.
Would you be willing to testify in
No
court?
way. I told them. I'm telling you. I won't testify in open court. Goodbye.
But why not?
Jerry, we can't do that. It's terrible strategy.
Breck's retraction is perfect. We can move for a dismissal hearing now, get Breck suppressed. There won't even be a trial.
No, we should go to trial. Let them put Breck on the stand, then present his retraction. It'll blow them apart. No Breck, no case. If we use it now and the judge doesn't grant the dismissal, they'll know about the retraction. They'll have months to prepare Breck for trial.
Billy, what if we're post-convicted? Suppose we go to trial and the review board sees that we had Breck's retraction and didn't present it
Forget
before the
the
trial.
review.
We could lose our license.
Let's win the case.
Hold it! Are you saying if we take Breck's retraction to court now, I might not have to stand trial?
It's possible.
But not certain.
Oh.
And if Jerry's wrong,
It's up to you, Tim.
Go for it. Huh?
This is precisely the sort of poppycock one can expect from children. But in a court of law, I don't think it's going to hold water. I'm pretty sure we've got it covered, but I tell you, excuse me. I cannot believe that you boys are now going to try for a dismissal. On what grounds?
hey, Owen. Hey. You're still with us, right?
Yeah. What was that all about? Oh, nothing, Mama. You better be telling the truth. Oh, come on.
And I present as evidence this sworn and signed affidavit by Owen Breck saying that he is not certain that the man he saw that evening is Timothy Hennis.
Your Honor, I request a recess so that the state may study this document and respond.
Very well. Court recessed until 2 o'clock.
Talk to Breck. Get him some lunch.
Hey, Owen. How about some lunch?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In here. Now, I'm gonna go pick up some sandwiches. You just stay away from the flack and the hassle. Okay.
Mama, seems like everything I say turns out backwards. If I did sign that paper, it's because I thought it was a subpoena. I'm telling you the honest truth, Mama.
I didn't mean to confuse nobody. Everybody was talking all the time, but I know what I saw that night. The man I saw was the man I identified, Tim Hennis. And that is the truth. Your loving son, Owen. Do you see that man in this court?
Tim Hennis.
And therefore, the trial will proceed as scheduled in 3 months.
You boys played your whole card a little early. I'll try not to do the same.
Sex or rape is no motive for wiping out a family. It has to be another motive. All right, these lab reports they show the blood sperm tests are inconclusive in IDing the perpetrator and that Tim Hennis has a rare blood subgroup. Whoa,
wouldn't that make it easier to rule Tim out?
Normally, yes, but the length of time Katie was dead makes it difficult to rule either way because of the PGM masking of the rapist blood type. Doesn't rule him out. Okay, but next, there was more than one assailant.
How can you tell that?
Multiple knives were used. And all the evidence suggests it happened like this. That night after putting the children to bed, Katie sat on the living room floor sorting laundry. Sometime after 9 o'clock, the assailants arrived. She knew at least one of them. That's why she let him in. Katie went back to sorting laundry. At some point, she was grabbed. There was a struggle. The laundry basket was knocked over. Her hands were tied behind her back. The rape began. The assailant controlled her by a knife against the side of her throat. Her panties and bra were neatly cut away from her. While this is happening, the other assailant went down the hall to deal with the children. Kara died in her bed. Eventually, Katie broke loose and ran down the hall to her children. She was stabbed during the pursuit. Katie ran across the bed, leaving a bloody footprint from her sock. She is now trapped against the wall. She was killed. 3-year-old Erin was sleeping on her mother's bed. She was pulled to the floor. She was killed. Rapists usually work alone, but there were at least 2 perpetrators here, and nobody is going to murder children for $300 from an instant teller.
What about the fatal vision angle, the McDonald copycat possibility, and the babysitter, Stacy? Aren't we going to bring her in as a witness?
No. Stacy is too unreliable to put on the stand. She's all over the place. I think the other side even agrees with us on Stacy.
It doesn't matter. And the McDonald copycat angle is dead for us.
Why?
We can't prove the connection and can't enter it as evidence.
But Richard's theory of 2 perpetrators can definitely help us. Plus, he could take the stand to discredit the state's physical evidence. Now, what do you got on that?
Well, State has a piece of corduroy recovered from the ashes of Mr. Hennis's burning trash barrel. They say it matches the fiber ribs on the bloody print on Katie's bed, but I think the print came from Katie's own sock when she ran across the bed to escape a killer. The ribs are similar. That's about all they got.
And if we could just find the walker, that would discredit Breck, their key witness.
Give up on the walker.
Why?
We're out of time.
Tim, Katie's bank card was first used at 10:52 on Friday night.
Right, at the branch bank clear over by the Methodist College. Now, how long does it take to drive there from Fort Bragg?
Not positive. Roads are complicated there.
I made it in 25 minutes. Round trip about 45, 50 minutes.
Tim, your witness, Specialist Reno, he alibis you when the card was used, but he's too vague on the time. Isn't there any way to prove you were on duty between 10:30 and 11:30 that night?
Not really. It's pretty busy over there that time of night. Crime prevention checklist. I had to sign it when I closed the orderly rooms. Got the exact time.
Now you're remembering it?
It doesn't matter. DB, get over to Fort Bragg. Find that document.
Yes, sir. Listen, the Army's put me back to work, and I'm stuck at a desk. Anything I can do till the trial? Anything help?
Yeah. Stay out of trouble.
Both the prosecution and the defense are in their final hours of preparation for the Hennis trial. The Eastburn murders were discovered on Mother's Day just over 1 year
I'll check
ago.
on her.
Army Sergeant Tim Hennis, who picked up the Eastburn dog just days before the murders occurred, was arrested and charged with the crimes. Hennis has pled not guilty to charges of rape and 3 counts of homicide in the murders of Catherine Eastburn and 2 of her 3
Boy,
children.
she's a good baby.
The trial, scheduled to start next week, could result.
Mom always said it took me hours to go to sleep. Nothing on the box?
Just nothing by the trial date. Is she gonna be at the trial?
Who?
Ellen Browning.
I guess so. She's a witness for the state.
Uh-huh. And what's she gonna say?
That nothing happened. Nothing did happen, Angie. All right, I shouldn't have been there.
No, you shouldn't have.
I said that, didn't I?
Look, I go home for Mother's Day, and that night you drive back and see her. Tell me, did you get a speeding ticket trying to get there?
Angie, please. Look, I said I'm sorry. All right? And I said nothing happened. Nothing happened. What else do you want me to say?
No, you don't get mad at me, okay?
Well, nothing happened.
Don't keep saying that. You want to medal for being a hero because she probably turned you down?
It was stupid, okay?
Yes, it was stupid, and no, it is not okay. Why did you go there? Just answer that.
I don't know. I don't know. I just wanted to talk to somebody.
We talked all the way to Selma. What did you have left to say to her?
I don't mean like that.
What? What? I would really like to know. I would like to know what you had to say to her that you can't say to me. I'm your wife.
Nothing. Nothing to say. Like I said, I'm sorry. I said I shouldn't have been there. I said nothing happened. What do you want me to say?
Just don't say nothing happened as if that makes everything all right. You understand? Never say that to me again.
Can I say I'm sorry? Hey, you don't know how hard it is for me to admit how much I regret everything, especially hurting you.
It is not here. It's gotta be. The Army don't throw no paper away. There's a crime prevention checklist for every day of the year, for every company in Hennis's battalion. Except Hennis's company that night.
Where is it?
Oh. You know, it's just a thought. But what if the checklist doesn't support Tim's alibi? He might have destroyed it.
Well, then why'd he tell us about it?
Because he's afraid somebody else might. This way, at least it looks like he's trying to help. But the checklist can't hurt him because it can't be found. Sleep well.
Gentlemen, we've decided not to put Tim on the witness stand.
What?
What? What? Tim's got to testify. Why?
Because Tim is very angry, and Smithline will exploit that. He wants the jury to see Tim in a rage. He will try hard to make Tim angry, and then he will eat him alive.
Think so, Jerry?
Easy. Your attitude sucks buttermilk.
What's wrong with my attitude?
Tim, you have all the charm of a stormtrooper. You stink with rage.
Hey, I'm accused of a rape and a triple murder, Jerry. Why don't you try living with that, huh? What's wrong with it? Good healthy amount of rage.
Okay. Come on. Okay. Come on.
Because rage is what drives this atrocity. And he'll use it to demonstrate how easily you lose control. Like now. I'm sorry, Tim, I had to show you. And Smithline's a lot better at this than I am.
And when you entered the Eastburn house, Deputy Archer, what did you find?
3 dead bodies. They'd obviously been slashed.
This is what Deputy Archer saw. First of all, I direct your attention to the diagram there depicted on the screen.
You're
which
in the
will
light.
mark
Just look down at the table.
82. This is a diagram depicting some of the wounds of Aaron Eastburn. Now, I mentioned a cut wound or incised wound of the neck. This is a diagram of that part of that wound. starts a little bit to the left side of the neck and goes around, actually all the way around, but you can see it goes around to the right side of it, going around the bend of the neck here. It is irregular in some areas. There's also a stab wound here. This is depicted as stab wound number 5. This wound was just a very superficial stab. It's an inch away and only went into the body about a fourth of an inch, just into the soft tissues of the neck. I'll show you what's been marked for identification, or will be marked for identification, State's Exhibit number 83. This is what is called an identification photograph of Tara Eastburn. I'll show you what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibit number 84. A photograph of the body of Tara Eastburn is primarily shown.
How long did that horror show last?
51 minutes.
Call Miss Lorraine Taylor.
What are they calling her for? She told us she couldn't identify anyone at the bank. I know.
And you saw this man at the bank on Saturday morning after the Eastburn murders.
Yes, I stopped at the instant teller on my way to my exercise class, and there was a man in front of me, so I waited in my car.
What did he look like?
He was tall, blonde, well-built, dressed in army pants and t-shirt. He got into a light, small car, and he drove away.
And is the man you saw at the instant teller window that Saturday morning in this courtroom?
Yes, that's him. That looks like the person I saw at the bank.
Hey, you suddenly remember this incident 1 year after the murders.
Yes.
And nothing jogged your memory.
Well, I don't know what caused it, but I remember it.
Billy? Listen, I'm sorry about Lorraine Taylor, but now you boys understand how I felt when you all sandbagged me with Owen Breck. Except I was smart enough to play my card at the right time. Don't you agree? After you saw the man walking out of the Eastburn driveway, what happened?
He said something to me about getting an early start, and then he got in his white Chevette and drove off.
How did you know it was a Chevette?
I know cars now.
Is there any doubt in your mind that the defendant is the man you saw walking in front of the Eastburn house?
No, sir.
Mr. Breck, do you recall making a tape-recorded statement to Mr. Richardson saying you were not certain of your identity of Tim Hennis?
Well, yes.
And Mr. Richardson told you he wanted the truth, no matter who you saw. And that it wouldn't do any good if you later came into court and say you were tricked or you were pushed into making this statement.
Yes, I do.
Right. And then you told him you were not certain it was Tim Hennis you saw.
Yes, but, well, you know, with the confusion and all, and then Mr. Richardson and his friend questioned me, I mean, what am I supposed to do? You know? I mean, look, now I know what I saw. Okay, I was the only one there at 3:30 that morning. And I saw the car. And I saw Mr. Hennis.
The prosecution has offered a deal. You plead guilty to 2 counts of second-degree murder, and you serve 2 consecutive life sentences. You probably live long enough to get out of prison.
Whose murder are they dropping? You just sweeping the body under the carpet and forgetting it?
That's the deal.
No. I'm not pleading guilty to something I didn't do.
Tim,
It could.
I said I'm not pleading guilty to something I didn't do.
Okay. And that night, what did Tim say about how his marriage was going?
I just tapped his wedding ring and asked how things were. And he said that she had gone again. And I said, "Are things that bad?" And he said, "Yes."
And nothing else took place between you?
No, he left right after Family Ties was over, at 9 o'clock. Or, 5 till 9.
And when you tested the vaginal swabs of blood taken at the scene, did the blood type match Tim Hennis?
No.
And when you lab tested Tim Hennis's jacket, did you find any blood?
No.
But Hennis's jacket had just been dry cleaned. Therefore, would you expect to find any blood?
Well, simple dry cleaning interferes with the detection of blood by nature of the chemicals used in the dry cleaning process.
And in your experience, in rape cases, how often do you find just the victim's blood type?
In 80% of my cases, I find only the victim's blood type.
Which does not rule out Tim Hennis.
No.
And what were your conclusions when you tested the piece of corduroy?
I compared the corduroy in the barrel and Katie Eastburn's sock against the ribbed impression of the bloody print. Now, the corduroy has wide ribs and narrow gaps, and the sock has narrow ribs and wide gaps, much like the bloody print. Therefore, I concluded the sock made the print, not the corduroy.
Now, you've testified that the sock has 13 ribs per inch, and that each rib is 1 millimeter wide with gaps in between of 2 millimeters, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Head? You see, I did some figuring after you testified. Thank you. At 13 1 millimeter ribs per inch, how many 2 millimeter gaps would be in between?
About 10. You'd have to count them.
Wouldn't it in fact be 12?
Approximately.
But at 12 gaps of 2 millimeters each and 13 millimeters for the ribs, your inch has 37 millimeters. However, there are 24.4 millimeters to the inch.
All I'm saying is my measurements were averages taken from stretching the sock several ways. The sock made the impressions the corduroy could not have.
What time did Sergeant Hennis relieve you of day room duty that night?
I called him at the CQ at 10:45, and he came over to sign me out about 11:15.
And that's when you say you last saw him that night, 11:15.
Yes, sir.
Specialist Reno, you don't wear a watch.
No, sir, I don't.
So you're not sure about any of the times you're testifying to, are you?
Well, no, sir, not exact times, no.
I wonder if you would be kind enough to tell the court what this is?
It's a crime prevention checklist, sir.
Signed at what time by Sergeant Hennis?
11:30.
May we have a conference, Your Honor? We looked for that checklist. It proves Hennis was on duty until 11:30 Friday night. You had it. You withheld it until it was too late to help us. It is exculpatory evidence.
Which must be handed over before the end of the trial. I've merely saved it till now. That's no violation.
It kept my key witness from verifying his statement. While you beat up on him, casting doubt with the jury.
Technically, the prosecutor is right. Gentlemen, let's wrap this up.
The state is asking you to kill Tim Hennis. Based on the words of a witness, Owen Breck, who tells one story then changes it, then changes it again. And Lorraine Taylor, a woman who couldn't identify Tim Hennis, then 1 year later swears it's him.
How could Tim Hennis leave CQ duty and use the bank card when the crime prevention checklist says he was on duty then? How could Tim Hennis do these murders and then clean up the house for 4 hours and not leave a single trace of himself there? Not one single piece of evidence at the scene links Tim Hennis. Tim Hennis certainly has not been proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
And finally, one man was recognized by Lorraine Taylor and Owen Breck. So there's your baby killer. Katie, Karen, and Aaron, and afterwards, there is Karen, afterwards, and Katie, afterwards, and little Aaron, the child. Are you going to turn this man loose on the streets? I certainly hope you're not.
The jury will retire to reach a verdict.
Ah, boy. I slaved over these eggs. Get them just the way you like them.
We've lost, haven't we?
In the words of that wise philosopher, Yogi Berra, it ain't over till it's over.
The jury's back.
Oh.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Timothy Bailey Hennis, guilty of all charges. No recommendation of mercy.
This court is adjourned.
Hey, Billy! Billy! Give this to Angela. Tell her I love her.
Tim, I'm gonna get this back to you. I promise.
Jim, listen, son, we're gonna get you out. Don't worry.
We'll get you out.
Just want to say hello. Just want to say, Tim. Stay back here. Tim, don't worry. Don't worry.
And it is therefore ordered and adjudged that Timothy Bailey Hennis is hereby sentenced to death. And the warden of the state penitentiary shall cause said prisoner to be put to death as by law provided. May God have mercy on your soul. Postcard for you, Hennis.
Dear Mr. Hennis, I did the crime. I murdered the Eastburns. Sorry you're doing the time. Thanks, Mr. Hennis. Dear Angela, you made me promise to write every day no matter what, so here goes. Today there were no calls allowed in or out of death row. John Rook, the guy 2 cells over, is being executed. He raped and murdered a nurse. For his last meal, John ordered 12 hot dogs with everything. Slaw, chili, the works. I could hear the demonstrators outside as I watched them on TV. After the execution, I watched John Rook's prosecutor being interviewed. He said the whole lethal injection process was too easy, like putting a dog to sleep. Anyhow, tomorrow Billy's coming up, and I've got something very interesting to show him. I am living in hell, and this psycho writes me to brag about killing them. You know what it's like having this psycho grind me?
Confession freaks, they do this all the time, Tim. It's how they get their kicks. I'll look into it. Just don't get your hopes up.
Well, let me tell you something. Hope is all I got.
Come on, Tim. You've got a family. You've got us working our hearts out on your appeal.
Yeah.
Billy, don't count on a postcard from the Psycho of the Week.
How do you know there's not something to it, Jerry? Give it to the police.
For what? Fingerprints? Let's see, there's the prints of the store clerk who sold it, maybe the nut who wrote it, maybe not. The folks at the prison, some more people at the post office. Tim Hennis,
okay,
you,
Jerry.
me. Billy, do you know how many homicides the cops have on their desk since they think they solved this one? You want to hand them a postcard from this Mr. X?
Okay, Jerry, okay. All I know is that our client is sitting on death row because somehow we dropped the ball. So I'm gonna grab at nutty postcards or ex-girlfriends or find some private who hated Sergeant Hennis. Anything to get Tim a new trial.
Well, that sounds good. That's great. That's great. Here's the bad news. Never in the history of this state has anyone come off death row and won the second trial. And you know that.
So what are you saying?
How much false hope can we give Tim Hennis? How many more times can Bob and Mary Lou mortgage their home? How much more can we ask of them? Man, how much more can we ask of our own families?
As much as it takes, Jerry. When he's your client for life. Whether you like it or not, Tim is our client. And if he dies, we live with it. I'm not ready to deal with that. He didn't do it, Jerry. The guy who did is still out there, free to do it again. We've got to get Tim a new trial. We've got to set him free.
And we'll need to hire a specialist who researches death penalty cases for appeals.
How much?
$5,000.
Okay, I'll get it, somehow. I also want to raise enough to put D.B. Guinness back on the case.
What for?
To find the killer.
Bob, listen, we both know that you're tapped to the max, and we feel that you should put any money you raise into the appeal.
We need to concentrate everything. Money, time, energy, and getting Tim a second trial.
Now listen,
scatter our resources.
Mary Lou and I have sacrificed everything for this, and we'll mortgage the future if we have to. But we don't want a repeat of the first trial, and that won't happen if we find the killer. Now what's D.B. Guinness going to cost, full time?
$1,000 to start, $20,000 to finish.
Okay, I'll get it. Now I want a copy of all the police and lab reports.
What are you going to do with them?
Play detective.
Mr. Hennis, it's not like I couldn't use the work, but you don't even have an appeal yet. You could be wasting your money.
Not if you find the killer. Look, first find the walker. The guy Breck saw, the guy other people have seen walking in that area.
We have tried, night after night after night. I mean, maybe he left town, maybe got hit by a truck.
Look, D.B., listen. The guy who did this is still out there. People forget that. He's still there. The killer is still out there.
Hey, they put that man on death row where he belongs. Now you guys are trying to get him off, right? I can't help you.
Any luck?
No. You?
Zip. Everybody's convinced Hennis did it.
Yeah, or nobody cares.
It's a warm Carolina night. The family was together to celebrate.
I talked to my mom since the move. They like Jacksonville a lot.
That's good.
Tim, I've decided to move down there and be with them. Maybe I just can't stand Fayetteville without you. It's just too tough. You know? At least there I've got my family. And I've got a job there at Burnett's in the jewelry department.
Sounds like you got it all worked out.
Tim, I had to do something.
It's just life is slipping away while I'm in here. Everybody's moving. Christina's growing up. You and me, God, I might as well be on another planet. You do what you gotta do. I'm no good for you.
So there's your case. Fellas, I've been through your trial with a microscope, fine-tooth comb, and 24 pots of coffee. And what I found there is in that stack 59 clear trial errors and the legal precedents that apply.
That's beautiful, Peg. So what's your unofficial opinion?
Unofficially, you're trying for the Super Bowl that's never been won. You know all the odds are against you.
Yeah. Well, we repeat that every morning before we start the day. Huh?
Well, anyway, there's your ammo. Go get 'em.
Thanks, Peg.
Fellas, when I give you the nod, punch on your speakerphone, line 2.
What is it?
This is a lead on the Walker. Yes, I'm sorry for the interruption, Miss Davis. Yes, you were saying?
Like I said, I can't believe that Tim Hennis was found guilty with this guy Cataldo roaming at night all over the neighborhood.
Cataldo?
C-A-T-A-L-D-O. Cataldo. He could pass as Hennis's brother.
Ma'am, where might I contact you?
I said enough. Just check it out.
You say this woman called out of the blue?
Like manna from heaven. DB, wherever he is, find him. I'm gone.
You want a sleeping pill?
No. If I took a pill every time I couldn't sleep since this started, I'd be an addict by now and I'd still be awake. Mary Lou, we gotta take out another mortgage on the house. It's the only way.
Fine. Now that's settled. Let's go to bed.
We're set with all.
Bob, you know, worrying about Tim...
It's not just Tim, it's me, my work. I'm not pulling my load. The other department heads are carrying me. Me.
Well, you can only do so much.
No, every week I'm falling farther behind. Tomorrow I have to take off again and drive up there for a meeting with the lawyers. I can't just...
Bob, listen. You're that close to retiring. You just hang on a little longer. You've been doing it ever since Tim was arrested. I know it's a stupid cliche, but please hang on. I know you can.
Safe to come in?
Nope.
Anything I can do to help?
Pray.
I've been doing that.
And don't stop.
Are you ready, Jerry?
What? Don't I look ready?
You look terrible. I mean, really builds confidence. I'm glad Bob can't see you.
I'll be ready.
So what's the problem, Jerry? You know the brief backwards.
Well, the problem is, Billy, the judge has made so many errors, I could forget a key one. Or I could flood them with so many that it'll dilute our argument into mush. So
I told you I was happy to make the appeal, Jerry. I don't see why you didn't let me in the first place.
Because you never appeared before the Supreme Court.
Well, I've got to start sometime.
Come on, Billy. Can't I express my doubts to you without you wanting to take over the case? I mean, who the hell else can I talk to?
Jerry, I didn't mean it that way, and you know it.
Well, that's the way it... Oh, forget it.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm just wound up tight.
Your mother's keeping Christina. They'll bring her when they come to visit this afternoon.
You're late. Did you have some trouble?
Well, let's see. I got off work late. The traffic was like a parking lot all the way here. And then on the road outside Goldsboro, that old car started acting up and we just chugged all the way here.
I don't like you on the road in that pile of junk.
It's no big deal. It's kind of an adventure, seeing if we'll make it.
Angela, I gotta talk to you about something. I've been doing a lot of thinking. Because there's nothing else to do but thinking here.
What is it?
You mustn't waste your life waiting for me to get out of here.
What?
Angela, listen. First, we don't know if we're ever going to get another trial. And even if we do, all we keep hearing is how nobody's ever come off the row and won the second trial.
Timmy.
Angela, we're talking about years. And at the end of all those years, even if I live, I may never get out of here. That's why I want you to divorce me.
Tim.
I've written up a kind of agreement, and I want you to take a look at it.
Without even talking to me?
It says after you divorce me, should I ever get out of here, that I won't try to get custody of Christina, or I won't interfere in your lives in any way. That's it. Angela.
Excuse me, sir. You have a wastebasket?
Listen, Angela.
Thank you very much. No, you listen. I did not limp here all the way from Jacksonville with a bad head gasket just to get junk mail from you, or to watch you feel sorry for yourself. Okay, the answer is no. And you know what, darling? You're lucky this glass separates us and I can't get my hands on you, or I'd show you how I really feel.
He gave you his letter?
But I didn't mean it. It's just that he's in a lot of pain. It's so unfair, you know. He doesn't belong in there.
What did you do?
Got mad and tore it up.
Good.
Tim, I've come for the choice of death document. Ward needs to file it by midnight. I, Timothy B. Hennis, etc., do declare lethal injection. Good choice.
How you know? You ever tried it?
An extensive use of the blow-up pictures during the trial was unfair, especially projecting them near the defendant's head, where he was seen by the jury in the reflected light of the victims' bloody bodies.
But the position of the defendant during projection is actually not evidence.
I refer to a previous opinion of this very court. Quote, "Evidence in a case is not only what is said from the witness stand, but what is seen in the courtroom." As you may recall, Justice Parad, that was from one of your own written opinions.
It's taking a long time.
Yes.
Gary, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. We're so proud.
Thanks. Let me warn you, the Supreme Seven are notoriously unpredictable. They could seem to like you and then hang you out to dry.
Oh, Jerry's always Mr. Sunshine. Come on, let's eat. I'm buying.
How long before a decision?
6 to 9 months.
Another 9 months on death row?
You mean
Oh,
before we know anything? My God. How does anyone survive this process?
You're absolutely sure, huh? I mean, you take an early retirement, you're going to get less than half the pension you would if you just hang on for 2 more years.
Wasn't an easy decision, Roy. I'm just not able to give it my best anymore. I've always done that.
Well, there's no other way.
We go to the prison every month. I'm constantly having to drive up there and meet with the lawyers. That's 16 hours every trip. I got to stay on top of things. What if we miss some crucial detail? Boy, those lawyers getting sick of me.
My friend, you're going to ruin your health, you know that. Please, just back off a little.
My son is on death row for a crime he didn't commit. How in God's name you back off from that?
that's Bob. Something's wrong.
Got it! Hey! Got it! We got the trial!
In Raleigh today, the North Carolina Supreme Court announced that they have granted a new trial in the Eastburn murder.
Hennis, get in here!
2.5 years after Hennis was convicted of rape and 3 counts of homicide and spent 845 days on death row. No date for the new trial was announced. But again, a new trial has been ordered by the state Supreme Court. If Hennis is acquitted in his second trial, it will be the first time in the state's history
Captain Eastburn.
Captain Eastburn, this is the district attorney's office in Cumberland County, North Carolina.
Yes?
The state Supreme Court has ordered a new trial for Timothy Hennis.
What?
You'll be contacted by the district attorney. Captain Eastburn, I'm sorry.
Bob Hennis. Oh, yes. Thank you for calling back, Dr. Wyman. Yes, sir. The blood semen test. Aha. Yes, sir. Baltimore, Dr. Zeitlin, Z-E-I-T. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
What?
Based on the state's lab report on blood semen samples, this lab might have eliminated Tim as a rape suspect. He gave me the name of a lab in Baltimore for another opinion.
So if another lab had done the tests, there might not be a rape charge?
Yeah, possibly.
Possibly. Might, maybe, possibly. It's never true or false. Just somebody's interpretation of a lab report? And all this work everybody's doing. How do we know it'll even get in as evidence?
Well, honey, it sure won't if we don't keep trying.
And around the time of the Eastburn murders, did you notice anybody unusual hanging around the neighborhood?
Well, I'll tell you, there was a guy parked in a light-colored car for the longest time, just sat there and watched. He could see the Eastburn house on up the block. He's parked right over there. He must have sat there for hours.
Huh. What'd he look like?
Well, big fella. Kind of a stocky build, sandy blonde hair. Suddenly, he just up and was gone.
Thank you. Hi, I'm D.B. Guinness. I'm a private investigator. You're the night manager?
Yeah? What's wrong?
Oh, nothing. I'm looking for a guy who walks the area around here at night. Maybe stopped in for cigarettes, a soda. He wears a black members-only jacket.
Big guy? Sort of a Rambo type?
Yeah.
A lot of muscle. Always wears something over his shoulder?
That's him. His name Cataldo.
Yeah, Mac Cataldo. Used to work here.
Now you all eat while it's hot. We just took it off the grill.
What is that?
Brunswick stew, Carolina specialty.
Oh,
we have fried okra, hush puppies, and coleslaw.
Well, we knew you'd never make it home for dinner, so we fixed a little something to keep you going.
What would we do without you?
Thanksgiving at your house really must be something.
Oh, well, now, DB, you better eat a bite. You gotta keep your strength up.
Yes, ma'am.
Ladies, you saved our lives. Have a good evening.
See you, honey.
Okay, let's get started. Let's see what we got so far. Crime scene. Lots of loose ends everywhere. The police haven't concentrated on them because they believe Tim Hennis is a killer. But maybe we can make some things work for us. Like, who made all of those harassing phone calls to Katie Eastburn a month before she was killed?
Maybe Katie was being stalked.
That's an excellent area to probe.
You know, in the crime scene, I'm fascinated by the way the van keeps showing up. I mean, first, the neighbor, Doug Palmer, says he saw a van that night. Then, Stacy Carrollwood claims a van followed her home from the hospital. And the drug informant, Frank Sarazin, said the guy he claimed sold the marijuana was in a blue van.
Yeah, and Frank Sarazin's possible drug angle totally points away from Tim.
Now, everything points away from Tim as a killer. The problem is getting it in as evidence.
Better add the independent crime labs that might have eliminated Tim in the blood sperm test.
That's good. Breck is still their most damaging witness, but he told several versions. Now, we must discredit Breck's testimony with much more punch than we did before. Well, that night, Breck obviously did not see whom he thought he saw. And if it wasn't Hennis, who was it?
The night walker, Cataldo.
Right, who is our best shot to discredit Breck. Jenny Gellis first saw him, as Breck describes him, 2 weeks before the night of the murders. We know it wasn't Tim Hennis. Bob, you ready for some really good news?
Oh, yeah.
D.B., tell me about last night.
I talked to Cataldo.
Holy smoke. You got him?
Yes, sir.
You got him.
Cataldo is 19. He looks older. He's a Rambo type, a loner. He's into guns, knives. Soldier of fortune freak. Now, he worked as a night stock boy at the Pines Market, and he is very wired. He walks miles after work because he can't sleep. Now, that night, he was working the late shift at the market. He is not the killer.
He was walking the neighborhood later that same night. He has to be the guy that Breck saw.
That's incredible. So let's tell them this blows their case wide open.
No. Over my dead body.
Why not?
Remember Owen Breck? We revealed him too soon and lost. Let's don't make the same mistake twice. Let's save him for trial.
Billy's right. We spring Cataldo at the trial. This time, we'll have a surprise.
Okay, I'll see you later this afternoon.
Where are you going?
I'm going to question witnesses.
It's Saturday.
I'm sorry, honey, but...
Oh, I'm sorry, but just doesn't cut it. Yesterday, your son, Matt... Oh, you remember Matt, don't you? Cute little dude, about so tall. Asked me why his daddy doesn't spend any time with him anymore. Now, I explained to him all about law and jurisprudence and all that really important stuff, but I don't think he bought it.
I'm sorry, honey, but what can I do?
Help me with the groceries, and then take your son with you.
Hi. You have to work on Saturday, too?
I sure do.
So do I.
Oh, yeah? What kind of work you do?
Me and my daddy are investigating a murder.
A murder, huh? Maybe the Eastburn case? Hey, that's quite a helper you got there.
Yeah, he's the best I ever had. Say, the police didn't happen to question you about the Eastburn murders, did they?
Never did. I did see something odd that Saturday morning.
Odd?
Mm-hmm. That morning I was driving past that Eastburn house, and that light-colored car everybody's been talking about was parked too far out in the street. It's a wonder it hadn't caused a wreck. Yeah, it's parked right up the block of the Eastburn house.
That was at 9:30 Saturday morning. The car he described was like Henness's.
Huh. So, there's another witness who saw a car like Tim's hovering around the scene.
Yes, but it couldn't have been Hennis. Because at 9:30 on Saturday, Tim was in his backyard burning trash. Seen by the state's own witness.
That's great. That's great. Now, you remember the phone calls Katie got? Well, I'm on my way to see a friend of Katie's named Francis Ramsey.
I hope the lemonade's not too sweet.
Ma'am, I have never tasted too sweet.
Anyway, Katie told me about those creepy phone calls she'd been getting. And she felt like she was being followed.
Followed? Do you mean, like being stalked?
Whatever. She especially felt it at her children's gymnastic meet the Saturday before she was killed. She and Amy Reed took their kids to the meet together.
Amy Reed? Thank you.
Sure, there are a lot of pictures taken. Well, you know, everybody takes pictures of the kids.
Yeah, could I see him, Ms. Reed?
Well, the police took my copies. There's a Detective Gordon. Actually, if you see him, could you please tell him that I'll blot those back?
Sure.
The pictures? Yeah. We had her copies. Katie was in the crowd and some of them, there's nothing there.
So what happened to the photographs?
Okay, guys, appreciate it. Well, later when I was going to give them back to Mrs. Reed, they're either misplaced or lost. It's been a while.
See you now. You are a kid.
Hey, look, it happens, you know. They weren't exactly high priority. And don't tell me that you have never lost or misplaced a piece of evidence that turned out later to not be evidence.
What was in the photographs?
Nothing, Billy. No tie to this case, not a thing.
How do you know there was absolutely no tie to this case?
Because Tim Hennis wasn't in the crowd in a single picture.
Is Tim Hennis the only face you guys ever look for?
Billy, look. This case, it's over. So now we have 3 white cars involved in the crime.
I understand all that, but the van, that keeps popping up all over the place.
Right. You remember Bonnie Griffin, the newspaper delivery lady? Yeah, I think DB should talk to her again. Find out what she's afraid of. She might have seen the walker, too. Also, Bonnie Griffin said she almost ran into a van in front of the Eastburn home at 1:45 a.m. Now, if that's all she saw, why did she flatly refuse to testify in open court? It makes no sense.
Maybe she saw something more.
Next, Stacy Carolwood.
Something peculiar.
She said Saturday morning she passed the Eastburns and saw the front door open. But on Sunday morning, Sergeant Hallis found the Eastburns' front door locked. The deputy had to enter the house through the bedroom window.
Also, 9:30 a.m. Saturday morning, the mailman saw a car like Tim Hennis's parked near the Eastburns. Now, this must have been the same car that Lorraine Taylor saw a half an hour before at the instant teller.
So after the murders, the killers, using 2 vehicles, a compact car like Hennis's and a van, go back to the crime scene.
Possibly to check on their cleanup job in daylight. The last time was Saturday morning after one of them had been to the bank.
Tim couldn't be going back and forth between the bank and the Eastburn house while he was seen burning trash in the backyard.
The crime lab lifted finger and palm prints from the scene. None of them are Tim Hennis's. They found a size 9 footprint. Hennis wears a size 13.
And finally, Katie's phone calls. I mean, I find it odd that they started as soon as Captain Eastburn left town.
Look at that. Nothing on that board relates to Tim Hennis. How in Hades did he ever get convicted?
Police seemed blind to anything that didn't nail Hennis. Prosecutor withheld evidence to protect his case.
And we got outlawyered by Smithline.
This time we don't have to worry about Smithline.
Why not?
He went into private practice after getting a conviction on the case of his career. Weird.
Yeah. So the DA assigned Mencken and Connor. They're tough. Around the courthouse, they're known as the Surgeon and the Bulldog.
So, when you consider everything, I see no reason to change the strategy that convicted Hennis in the first place.
Oh, except for the old rule. On the second trial, the defense is usually stronger and the prosecution's case is weaker.
Well, what's the change? Stephen here built a rock-solid case. Well, no matter what new tricks or so-called evidence they come up with, is there anything to refute what actually convicted Hennis? None of that has changed.
And we have a new witness, Mildred Gwynn. She can positively ID Hennis at the Eastburn house the day before the murders.
The day Hennis says he wasn't there.
Really? Mm-hmm. Another little surprise for Butch and Sundance.
Miss Griffin, I do appreciate you talking to me.
We've been through this. I don't know what else I can tell you.
You said that you saw a light-colored van parked in front of the Eastburn.
Right. You know,
Did you see anyone?
I told you what I saw.
I know. I know. But you also refused to testify in court.
That's right. I will not testify in open court.
Please. Can I just ask why? We could subpoena you.
What good would that do? I'd just sit there.
Well, the judge may be able to force you to
I've
testify.
got to go pick up the kids at school and then cook dinner.
No.
And I must tell you, my husband is getting tired of you people coming around asking questions. Please, leave me alone. Please, you've got to stop calling. Please. Please. Stop.
No matter how many times I go over it, their case hinges on Owen Breck.
Breck's a cipher to me. What did he really see that night?
And after Breck admitted he was uncertain of his ID of Hennis, why did he change his story? He's not just lying for the hell of it.
Either he's mixed up Hennis with Cataldo, or he just loves the attention.
No, his anguish about IDing the wrong man was too real. Messages? Thank you. Sure. However, DB, I've been checking into Owen Breck, and he has been a very, very busy guy. First, a felony credit card attempt, and a warrant for Owen Breck's arrest, a drunk and disorderly charge. Notice anything peculiar? DB, with all these charges, he was never indicted.
Something stinks.
Yeah, DB, dig on it.
Okay,
Hey, and find me something.
I'll get it. See you, Don.
Bye-bye.
File for a petition. We're going to see that it works.
Thanks a lot.
Now, what you have to do on your
That's what I heard.
just be
How you doing?
Same song, third verse.
It's a big step closer.
It doesn't feel any closer.
It's only been 27 months, 3 days, and 6 hours. But who's counting?
Me, I'm counting.
Come on, show some guts, Sarge. Tim, you gotta promise me something. This time you must get on the witness stand. No matter what anybody else says to you, you gotta let that jury see that you couldn't have done it.
Angela, there's no power on earth that's gonna keep me from testifying, even if I blow it.
What is wrong with that?
You're still too angry, Tim. Now listen, you insisted on testifying. No, we agreed that you'd have to be coached.
Why can't I just tell the truth? I gotta worry about how I say something.
Because how you say it may determine whether the jury believes you. Now tell us about the night of the murders.
Well, what do you want to know, Jer?
That is not an answer, that's a question. Now, Tim, you can't win this case by yourself, but you can damn sure lose it.
Come on, Tim. Please.
Come on, what? Okay, look, I came back from Selma.
Don't use your hands. Don't use your hands. They're big. They're threatening. And you're accused of brutalizing a helpless woman and her 2 small children. Don't give the jury a reminder of the difference between your size and theirs. All right? Okay. Let's start again. This time, no hands.
I came back from Selma.
There must be more on Owen Breck. Maybe over at Central Records.
Thanks, Tommy.
Did you know about the missing wallet?
What wallet?
I worked on that one. I think it was last March. Somebody found a wallet lying in the street in Montclair. In it was a letter about Owen Breck.
Wait, hold on. What are you talking about?
It turns out the letter belonged to a friend of Breck's. The letter was all about how Breck was shaky on his ID of Hennis.
Huh, that's impossible.
The letter was in the wallet, just lying on the street. Is that weird?
Where is this letter?
Who knows? But I took the file on the case over to Records Annex. Records.
Billy Richardson there?
Oh, yeah, he's right here.
Hello? Billy Richardson.
It's Guinness. Look, Cataldo's moved again. I'll track him down.
Swell.
Hey, Billy, I found him once. I'll find him again.
I'm counting on that, DB. Now listen to me. 11:30 tonight. Be sure to meet me at the Sheriff's Record Annex.
So what in blazes are we doing here in the middle of the night?
Owen Breck. Listen to this. Breck has bragged to his friends he can do anything he wants and the cops won't touch him. He's apparently been given unofficial immunity.
So, Breck may think he can't change his testimony or he may face prosecution?
Right, and that's going into my opening argument.
Well, why are we here?
In this building is a file on Breck about a lost wallet containing a letter that declares that Breck said the man he saw wasn't Hennis.
You are making this up.
We're going in there and somehow get our hands on that file.
You ever hear of a court order?
We can get it without one. It's night, it's quiet, no one expects us.
Inside of McCarran goes down the middle, shoots there, he scores.
Good evening. Good game?
It's all right. Can I help you, boy?
Oh, yeah. I'm Billy Richardson. I'm an attorney. We're involved in a matter concerning a lost wallet found in Montclair in March. The sheriff said that you have the file here.
That was last March?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep. Here we are. Montclair. There was a wallet.
Do you still have it?
Nope. Disposition. Wallet returned to a Gary Durone. D-U-R-O-N-E.
Mr. Durone, according to the case file, you are friends with Owen Breck, right?
Yeah, we're friends. What you want?
I want to know about the letter. Remember the letter and the wallet you lost?
What about it?
Did it have anything to do with Owen Breck's uncertainty about identifying Tim Hennis?
Maybe.
Mr. Durone, maybe might get an innocent man executed.
told him.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you right now. If you got your doubts it was Hennis, you either shut your mouth or you take it to the DA.
Right, man. Go to jail for perjury.
Hey, wait a second, man. Come on now. What you gonna do? You just gonna let that man die like that?
Hey, now it could be Hennis. I'm just not sure. Also, now I'm not the only witness. What about all the other people?
Man, you are not responsible for them. Were you drinking that night?
Mm-hmm. I wasn't drunk.
You said you weren't sure that it was Hennis.
Right. I'm not sure. It doesn't mean that it's not him.
Okay, who wrote the letter?
My girlfriend. You know, we had spoken before she went off to college, and you know, she wrote me and told me that it was my responsibility to get on Owen's case, because if Hennis got executed, it would be partly my fault, and that's because Owen admitted, you know, he wasn't sure it was Hennis he saw that day.
Look, I don't know if I can even use it, but I need that letter.
Now, were you in the Eastburn house?
No.
Before that night? Don't jump in. Of course you were in the Eastburn house. 2 nights before the murders. That's when you picked up the dog. These prosecutors are smart, Tim. Don't let them trick you. Wait until they finish before you answer.
Yeah, I get it.
Answer in complete sentences. I want the jury to hear you talk. See that you're not a monster. Just an ordinary guy with one hell of a streak of circumstantial bad luck. Now, when you picked up the dog, did you go through the house?
No. Just a living room. Hey, I used the bathroom before I left. That's right.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Good.
So, what do you think?
He's learning. He'll be fine if he doesn't get mad.
Jerry, listen, there's something else. I know Billy has done most of the work preparing for this trial, but please, you make the opening argument.
What?
It's nothing personal. You know, Mary Lou and I love Billy, but you're the senior attorney here. You handle the appeal to the Supreme Court. This is our last chance. You must do it.
I can't believe you're eating again. I haven't enjoyed a meal in 3 weeks.
Well, I eat when I'm nervous.
Yeah, what are you nervous about?
I lost Cataldo. Just
What?
disappeared.
Oh, come on. How? Oh, I don't believe this. I'm glad I can't eat, so I don't get sick. Now what?
Well, we're not completely dead. I may have a lead up in the Boone area.
DB, with our luck, he could be dead.
Yeah, well then I'll just dig him up, dust him off, and drag him into court.
Well, you better get a shovel, because we got 2 weeks. Cataldo discredits Breck. He's our biggest gun.
I will stay on it, Billy, I swear.
Thank you.
Look, I got another angle. I want to talk to Bonnie Griffin again.
What? Come on. She refuses to testify.
Yeah, but does it make any sense that she refuses to testify without just seeing a van? She saw something else, and she is scared. Now, I've been doing this too long not to spot it. And whatever she's afraid of is important to this case.
But she won't talk.
Yeah, but I think she wants to. Lady's got a wide streak of decency. Hey, what kind of detective would I be if I can't spot the good guys?
Thanks.
Hey, it's me again. Bonnie, we have a few loose ends that we have to, Mr. Griffin. Could Bonnie and I go for a cup of coffee? Just a few minutes.
Will it finally get rid of you?
I swear to God. I do not see how people can use that plastic sugar. They're going to execute Tim Hennis.
That could really happen.
Oh, they won before. They'll win again. Unless everybody tells what they know. Tim Hennis is dead. Bonnie, I know you're very scared. But what if it were your husband? And somebody knew something might save his life. But they didn't speak up then. Just let him die.
My God. Oh my God. How much can a person take? I've prayed. I can't live with this anymore.
Jerry, I put most of this case together, and now you're telling me I'm not making the opening statement?
I've given it a lot of thought,
Well,
Billy.
think some more, Jerry. I've been working on this opening for months. I know this case. Jerry, I've earned this.
Billy, this is the way it is. I'm doing the kickoff, then you take the ball. That's it.
You better make one hell of a kickoff. See you in court.
I brought you two. I didn't know which one you wanted.
It's time to go to court, Tim.
I usually only have to do this when you're wearing a tux.
D-Day, my hands are trembling.
Bob, you've done everything you can. Now stop worrying.
It's hard to do when Tim's life is in the hands of 12 strangers. Again.
Listen, you got us here. You pushed and persuaded and drove everybody crazy. Wouldn't let anybody give up, ever. No father, no man could have done more. So no matter what happens, I'm proud of what you did. Now, get out there and drive them crazy some more.
Where have you been?
Throwing up.
Losing is not an option.
And that same evidence will prove again, as it clearly did before, that one man, and one man only, is responsible for the deaths of Katie and Kara and Aaron. And that man is Tim Hennis.
The evidence instead will show that Tim Hennis did not rape and kill Katie Eastburn, did not kill Kara, and did not kill Aaron Eastburn. We will further show that Tim Hennis's actions were completely inconsistent with guilt. First, the sheriff is looking for the person who got the Eastburn dog. Tim Hennis comes forward. Next, he signs a waiver of his rights. He doesn't have to. He gives a statement. He doesn't have to. He gives samples of hair, blood, fingerprints. He doesn't have to. And why did he? Because he didn't commit the crime. But the sheriff's department, instead of taking all of this evidence that Tim gives and trying to match it with anything from the crime scene, they jump the gun. They call a press conference, declare the case solved. But the physical evidence says Tim Hennis is innocent. Because there is no match. Physical evidence does not lie. It does not forget. It cannot be pressured into testifying. Tim Hennis is not guilty. He was not guilty before. He is not guilty now. And we will show it.
You call that a kickoff? I can spit further than that. You nailed it.
And what was your last conversation with your wife?
Katie said she'd received a bunch of harassing phone calls since I left for school. The last one said, "I live up the street. I'm coming to see you."
Thank you. Captain Eastburn?
The witness may step down.
Call Mrs. Mildred Gwynn.
I talked with her 3 years ago. She said she hadn't seen her.
I know.
You see, this was on Wednesday before the murders. It was lunchtime. I looked out my window, and I saw a man in the Eastburn backyard with Katie, her 3 children, and her dog.
How's he dressed?
Wearing cut-off jeans and a red T-shirt. I'm new to the neighborhood. I thought he was Katie's husband, not knowing that Captain Eastburn was away at school.
And when did you first realize that this wasn't Captain Eastburn?
When I saw Tim Hennis's picture in the newspaper, he was the man I saw. Him.
Mrs. Gwynn, you say this was on Wednesday before the murders?
Yes.
You saw this man with Katie and the dog on Wednesday?
Yes.
Are you positive it was Wednesday?
Yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Gwynn.
Bailiff,
She may end up helping us. How? Well, she's suggesting that Katie was talking with someone else on Wednesday. But Katie told people the dog was picked up on Tuesday. That's when you got the dog. On Wednesday, you would have to leave your post, go home, change clothes, take the dog to Katie's, take the dog back home, get into uniform, go back to work.
Now, you testified that your lab checked Tim Hennis' jacket and found no blood.
That's correct.
But we established that Tim Hennis had this jacket dry cleaned the day after the murders. Will dry cleaning remove blood from a jacket?
Yes, it will.
Mr. White, as a forensic chemist, you ran an independent test for blood on another members-only jacket. Please, give us the results from the exhibit.
Well, our lab took an identical members-only jacket, put some of my blood on the sleeve, had it dry cleaned, and tested it with luminol. As you can see, luminol shows blood traces clearly. Dry cleaning does not remove it.
Now, the defense has made a big thing about a lot of prints that were found at the scene. None of them Hennis's, suggesting that someone else did the crime. For example, unknown palm print on the front door. Now, Mr. Carling, how did your technicians enter the house?
By the front door.
Then any one of them could have made those prints.
Did you wear surgical gloves at the scene?
Yes, I did.
And did any of the other technicians wear surgical gloves?
They all did.
Then they left no prints.
Bloody footprint, size 9. Now, the defense has tried to suggest, since Hennis is a size 13, that this footprint was some unknown perpetrator. Mr. Carling, what's your shoe size?
Size 9.
Well, could have been your print.
According to your lab report, where was this size 9 footprint found?
It was found at the side door.
Uh-huh. And where did you take the bodies out?
The front door.
So you and your size 9 shoe never went out the side door?
No.
And do your bank records show the time on Saturday morning that Katie's card was first used?
Yes, between 8:55 and 8:56. 3 transactions.
Between 8:55 and 8:56. All within 1 minute.
On Saturday, May 11th, did you see the defendant that morning?
Yes, I did. In his backyard.
What time was that?
At approximately 9:30, burning stuff in a barrel.
And would you tell us again when you saw the trash burning?
Oh, well, I saw smoke pouring from Mr. Hennis's trash barrel at 9 o'clock that Saturday morning.
9 o'clock. And what is the driving time from your home to the bank?
About 20 or 25 minutes, depending on the traffic.
Then Tim Hennis couldn't be at the bank at 8:55 and burning trash at his house by 9 o'clock, 25 minutes away.
Now, Mrs. Taylor, after you observed the man using the instant teller on Saturday morning, did he then drive away?
Oh, no, sir. He got in his car and he didn't leave for a while. I stayed in my car until he started to move, and then I got out and I used instant teller.
How long did you wait in your car?
About a minute or two. It seemed like a long time, possibly 2 minutes.
She's lying. Mrs. Taylor, in the previous trial, you had no memory of this incident until 10 months after the event when you came forward. But now you remember the actual minutes.
Yes.
So this incident stuck out in your mind.
Oh, yes, it did.
Yes. All right, well, here is a record of all of the bank transactions you made in those 10 months. Could you please tell us which ones you actually remember doing?
Oh, this one. The $7,000 deposit. I remember it because it was such a large amount.
Uh-huh. You don't remember doing any of the other 90 transactions?
No, but I'm not trying to remember it. There's no reason for me to remember it.
Right, you remember only one transaction out of 90, and yet you remember this incident with the man and how long it took 10 months before.
Yes.
Yes. All right, well, let's look at that incident in question. Now, according to the bank records, Mrs. Eastburn's card was used at 8:55 and 19 seconds and ended at 8:56 and 6 seconds. That's a total of 47 seconds at the window. But your transaction didn't occur until 8:59:41. Some 3 minutes and 35 seconds later.
Yes.
Which means this person made 3 transactions in under a minute and then hung around for over 3 minutes waiting to be seen. For over 3 minutes. 3 minutes and 35 seconds. Now I guess I get in my car and leave. And Mrs. Taylor can use the teller machine.
So this man was parked near the Eastburn house?
Yes, sir, across from my station.
Now you had time to get a look at him?
Yes, sir.
Would you describe him, please?
Well, big guy, sandy blonde hair, broad-shouldered. It's Tim Hennis.
Good Lord, they believe him.
I'd say we were ahead on points until the jury believed Glenn Dufree.
Dufree had enough time to look the guy over. That's a hard idea to shake.
But it couldn't have been Hennis. Who was it?
The guy who was stalking Katie?
How did Dufree describe him?
Big, sandy blonde, broad-shouldered.
Right. And who else does that describe? Hey, thanks for coming.
Hello, Mr. P.I. Kind of short notice, huh?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Frankie, but no predicted brainstorms, huh? You've been too busy busting druggies to follow the trial?
Nope. It's better than television. What do you need?
Back around the time of the Eastburn murders, did you happen to have any drug stakeouts going on in their neighborhood, say, about a month before the murders?
What is your occupation, Mr. Sarrazin?
Professional narcotics informant.
And during the month of April 1985, were you on a drug surveillance in the Eastburn neighborhood?
I was. I had a stakeout on a gas station up the street from the Eastburn house. The mechanic had been dealing drugs. I was probably the guy Mr. Dufree saw since I was sitting there 4 or 5 hours. I had to set up an informant to make a drug buy from the guy. My informant, a young woman, made a buy for $250. The drugs were to be delivered later.
And who was your informant making the drug buy?
Stacy Carrollwood.
Stacy Carrollwood. Stacy Carrollwood, the Eastburn babysitter.
Objection. And if this testimony is allowed, it must be continued out of hearing of the jury.
I will allow the testimony, but the jury will retire.
Ladies and gentlemen,
if you will retire to the jury room.
But they can't unring a bell, you know. They made the connection, a possible drug angle on the Eastburn murders.
Stacy Carrollwood made the buy, but she didn't get the drugs. She told the dealer to bring them to her at the Eastburn house the following Friday night where she was babysitting. And that's the weekend the murders occurred. But I was called out of town that week, and when I returned, the Eastburn slayings had occurred.
Mrs. Griffin, where were you on Saturday, May 10th, between 1 and 2 a.m.?
Delivering newspapers on Summerhill Road.
Please, tell the court what happened.
At about 1:45 in the morning, as I came to the Eastburn house, I saw a light-colored van parked. I had to slow down to go around it. I continued on my route, and when I came back toward Yadkin Road, I saw this man coming down the drive from the house. He was small, 5'6" or 7, and carried something over his back. He had dirty blonde hair, jeans, and a jacket. I was afraid he saw me.
And did you later see photographs of Tim Hennis as the accused?
On TV news, and I knew they had the wrong man. Hennis was not the man I saw coming out the house.
What did you do?
Nothing.
Why not?
The phone call started. Hello?
I live up the street, and I'm coming to see you. You keep your mouth shut. You keep your mouth shut, you hear me?
I live up the street, and I'm coming to see you. Now, where have we heard that before? Did the phone calls continue?
Yes. The next call, he He threatened my children.
Your kids go to Hopewell School. I told you I knew. They play at the Freeland Playground. Now, if you want to keep them safe, you keep quiet. You got that? Don't tell anyone, not even your husband, or your kids will pay.
How long did this go on?
All through the first trial. He said he was coming over to my house. One time I'm sure he got in the house, because after he threatened again to come over, I ran to a neighbor's. When we came back, the screen door was open. I know I closed it. On the very next call, he mentioned my waterbed, how we'd try it out. He said... Anyway, I nearly went crazy. Then Mr. Hennis was sent to prison, and I was sick with guilt. So sick. My husband thought I was having a nervous breakdown, but I couldn't say nothing.
Did the phone calls continue?
Yes. When word came there was going to be another trial, same voice, same threats, and the same awful. Anyway, this time I realized Mr. Hennis might really die. The man I saw that night was not Tim Hennis.
Please tell the court what happened that night.
I was walking home late, and it was sometime around 3:30. I saw this guy coming from the driveway at the Eastburn house. He said something about getting an early start, something like that.
Is that man in this courtroom?
Yes.
Let the record show that Mr. Breck has identified Tim Hennis. Now, Mr. Breck, you previously signed an affidavit expressing doubt as to whom you saw. Do you, in fact, now have any doubt that it was Tim Hennis?
No, I'm certain it was Tim Hennis.
Mr. Breck, were you drinking that night?
No.
Have you ever been charged with drunk and disorderly conduct?
Nope.
Mr. Breck, can you identify this document?
Well, yes, sir. It's an arrest sheet or something like that.
It's a copy of a citation, isn't it, sir? And whose name is on it?
Mine.
Objection. Mr. Breck's criminal record is not material to this homicide.
Your Honor, the whole purpose of my questions are to show that the state has a strong case against Breck on several charges, which they're ignoring because they need him to testify against Tim Hennis.
I will allow testimony about his record within strict limitations.
Now, Detective, with all of these charges against Owen Breck, has there been any prosecution of any case against him?
Nope.
Now, Mr. Durone, how did I happen to contact you?
Regarding a letter that was in a wallet I lost.
Objection, hearsay.
Your Honor, it will clearly demonstrate Owen Breck's confusion as to the identity of the man he saw.
He may answer.
This letter from your fiancé, would you please read these lines?
Owen said he wasn't sure about what he saw because he had been drinking. Did you even talk to Owen? If you don't, and Hennis gets the death penalty, it will be partly your fault.
Thank you, Mr. Durone. No further questions.
You may step down.
Your Honor, our last witness does not appear on the witness list because we made contact over the weekend.
Call your witness.
Call Matt Cataldo.
Matt Cataldo?
We're in trouble.
And you walk the Eastburn neighborhood frequently at night?
That's right.
We spent a great deal of effort trying to find you during the first trial, Mr. Cataldo. Where were you when we did locate you?
At college, Appalachian State.
Being so close at hand when the Eastburn murders occurred, weren't you even curious?
Yeah, sure. I even came and watched the first trial once. But after the cops questioned me, they let me go. I didn't really think too much about it after that.
So during the first trial, when Tim Hennis was convicted and sentenced to death, the police had questioned him and let him go and never notified the defense that he existed. And in the first trial, the prosecution knew about Mr. Cataldo. Maybe they let him go because they had a witness on Mr. Hennis.
His alibi checked out.
But they withheld this information from us despite knowing we were looking for him to discredit Owen Breck. Breck identified the wrong man. The existence of Cataldo is evidence that Hennis is not guilty. The prosecution also withheld the crime prevention checklist. I couldn't find it at Fort Bragg because they had it. They didn't present it until it was too late to support Hennis's bank card alibi, which it does.
When you take all of these things together, it clearly shows misconduct. Deliberate, serious misconduct on the part of the state. We've been prejudiced by this. So we're asking the court to hold a hearing immediately at the end of this trial, a hearing to determine what should be done about this prosecutorial misconduct.
Very well. Have your evidence ready.
What did you wear when you walked at night?
I wore a black members only jacket, black beret, and black corduroys.
Did you carry anything?
Yeah, book satchel over my shoulder.
Let me ask you a hypothetical question. If an individual walking down Summerhill Road saw somebody over 6 feet with blonde hair, a mustache, hat, wearing a dark members-only jacket, and carrying a bag over his shoulder, who would that person be describing?
Objection!
Mr. Hennis, the night you picked up the Eastburn dog, what happened?
We just talked about our families and our kids, mostly how she wanted a good home for the dog.
And then what happened?
I put a chain on the dog. Miss Eastburn followed me outside, and I got in the car with Dixie and drove away.
Did you ever see Mrs. Eastburn again?
No, sir, I did not.
Catherine Eastburn. She's an attractive woman. Wasn't she, Mr. Hennis?
Yes, sir, I suppose she was.
Now, that night, you first went to Ellen Browning's house. And then you went to visit the attractive Miss Eastburn.
No, I did not.
Your wife had left you?
No, sir, she'd gone to visit her parents.
Ellen Browning rejected you that night.
No, I went to visit a friend.
And angry at that rejection, you went to Catherine Eastburn. You tried to come on to her.
No, I did not.
And in a rage at that rejection, you killed Katie Eastburn and her children. Objection.
Sustained.
No, sir, I did not.
But you have absolutely no supported alibi whatsoever on the night of that murder.
As was said in the opening, I repeat at the close. The evidence in this case never, ever shows that Tim Hennis was in the Eastburn house at the time of the murders. Not one piece of physical evidence remotely links Tim Hennis to this case. The state's case is entirely circumstantial, stacking supposition upon supposition to speculate that Tim Hennis is guilty. Their key witness, Owen Breck, has made contradictory statements about identifying Tim Hennis, and for this he has received favored treatment by the Sheriff's Department and the prosecution. Lorraine Taylor's testimony about the instant teller transaction is filled with peculiarities. After 10 months of silence, she suddenly remembers. She has Tim Hennis illegally use Katie's card and then wait around for 3 minutes and 35 seconds to be identified before he leaves. So what do we have? Owen Breck can't get his story straight. Lorraine Taylor's memory comes back 10 months later after everything was in the papers. Tim Hennis freely gives physical samples that don't match anything at the crime scene. They have Tim Hennis everywhere he can't be, like using the instant teller at the same time he's seen burning trash. And Bonnie Griffin says Tim Hennis is not the man she saw leaving the murder scene. Tim Hennis is not the man she saw.
We've proven Owen Breck is a liar and a thief. We've shown flaws in Lorraine Taylor's testimony, outright lies by the state. Like the state lab said that dry cleaning would remove any blood on Tim Hennis's jacket. Well, we proved them wrong. They simply lied. Now, the state didn't pick Tim Hennis out of the blue and go after him. They saw him as a possible suspect. They convinced themselves he was guilty. Then they began a case against him. They shape and mold it any way they can to make it work. Why? Because they can't afford to back down. The political ramifications of knowing they were wrong are incredible. So they become convinced. Half of the state's case is built upon your trust. Your trust that they would not prosecute a man they did not think was guilty. Well, they did. They did. They prosecuted a man who does not fit the evidence. And Tim Hennis is not guilty.
When your defense is weak, you attack in the courtroom. You attack the police, attack investigators, attack prosecutors, attack witnesses. It's reminiscent of what the defendant did at the Eastburns on May 9th. Attack, slash, rip, and tear apart. The defense has noted that Dorothy Popejoy saw smoke coming from a barrel in Hennis's backyard at 9 a.m. She did not see Hennis. Smoke is certainly no evidence that he was home. During the assault, Hennis removed his jacket. Therefore, no blood. He kept his hat on. Therefore, no hairs. Owen Breck saw Hennis. This composite is worth 1,000 words. This composite is Tim Hennis.
And you will hear no apology for the state's case. No apology for calling Owen Breck and Lorraine Taylor to the stand. Neither of these two people chose to be witnesses. So what could Owen Breck and Lorraine Taylor possibly gain by identifying Tim Hennis if it wasn't him they saw? The defense is a magic show of smoke and mirrors throwing out rabbits for you to chase. But Tim Hennis decided the course that Katie Eastburn's life would take. Kara's life would take. Aaron's life would take. Don't forget why you are here.
And if the jury has any questions, you can notify the bailiff. The jury will now retire to reach a verdict. Counsel, approach the bench. The defense will have the weekend to prepare for the misconduct hearing. The state is to make any and all documents immediately available. Hearing will begin Monday, 9 a.m.
What is all this?
State's evidence a judge ordered they turn over to us.
DB, you won't believe what's in here, too. A second Mr. X postcard. The police got one months after we got ours.
They probably figured it was a crackpot, just like we did.
Yeah. But two of them?
Dear Mr. Hennis, I did the crime. I murdered the Eastburns. Sorry you're doing the time. Thanks, Mr. X. I murdered. See here in murdered, the E is written over with a T, T-E. Then the R has a mark that also forms a J, J-R. Together, T-E-J-R. It's the same on both cards.
Second card. Well, we just figured our card was from some nut and filed it. 2 postcards. This is crazy.
T-E-J-R. Do those initials mean anything to you?
T-E-J-R. Yes, sir, right here, T-E-J-R. Tyler Ellerby Jr. Worked at a video store on Yadkin Road, 6'1", 195 pounds, short blonde hair. I questioned him. I also questioned his ex-girlfriend.
And?
There's nothing to hold him on. She told the SBI that he had some scratches on his face the week of the murders. He, of course, told her that he was mugged by some guys trying to take his bike. But when I spoke with him, he denied both stories, so...
Where is he now?
He transferred to Charleston right after the murders.
Well, what about prints, blood, and hair samples?
They didn't get any. They dropped him as a suspect.
It doesn't mean he's the killer. But it does mean they had a candidate other than Hennis, and they didn't really push it. Your Honor, before we begin, we want it clearly understood that the misconduct occurred prior to Mr. Mencken and Mr. Connor's case, and in no way reflects upon them.
Your Honor, before you convene the court, I just want to say I've reviewed these charges. I can only say that Mr. Cataldo was questioned by us, and his alibi checked out. Therefore, we let him go and had no intention of calling him as a witness.
You knew we were looking for Cataldo, and he resembled Hennis.
Not to me.
What about the second postcard?
We didn't know there was one until you produced yours.
And the crime prevention checklist.
The crime prevention checklist was presented by the state when we deemed appropriate, and will so stipulate.
Judge, we intend to prove...
The jury has reached a verdict.
It's too quick. It's too quick.
I know. Gentlemen, we'll continue this after the verdict.
Your Honor.
Read the verdict.
In the case of North Carolina versus Timothy Bailey Hennis, the jury has unanimously returned as its verdict that the defendant is not guilty.
Hennis, you are free to go. The jury is dismissed. Counsel, both sides, please. I assume we can stop the misconduct here.
No, we want to continue. My God, they were going to take his life. We can't just...
Jerry, we've won. It's over.
This court is adjourned.
Gary. Good luck.
Bob. I have been waiting 3 years to give you this. Put it back on Tim's finger.